The year is 1846. Gangs run rampant through Manhattan, and they control the neighborhood known as the Five Points. On one side, Priest Vallon and his Irish Dead Rabbits. On the other, the natives, led by the merciless Bill the Butcher. Bill emerges victorious, and Priest's son returns 16 years later to have his revenge in one of Martin Scorsese's most underappreciated and engaging films, 2002's Gangs of New York. I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
And I'm Austin Johnson.
And you are listening to Filmgazm. Happy Friday. Welcome to our connector to Wednesday's Shutter Island episode, the theme being the dynamic duo of Scorsese and DiCaprio. Gangs of New York is a phenomenal movie that tells the story of a forgotten chapter of American history, the gang leaders of the Five Points, and the true story of the New York City draft riots of 1863, in which Union soldiers opened fire on an unruly mob in New York City, killing 120 poor Americans and injuring nearly 2,000 others. With a runtime of nearly 3 hours, this sprawling epic covers so much. So what is your history with Gangs of New York?
Gangs of New York. Oh boy, this is a movie I saw before I knew that it was a Scorsese movie. Yeah, my older brother, this is one he really liked. Immediately he showed it to me, and it was so intense, so like you said, epic, so long. But the movie doesn't feel that way because it has this pace that is pretty relentless and has two performances that are fucking unreal, and one of those being like one of the best performances of the century. Daniel Day-Lewis, the guy's a fucking legend.
I can't believe it's taken us over 100 episodes, counting bonuses, to finally talk about Daniel Day-Lewis.
Well, I do believe it because he's not really in that much, and what he's in is very specific. They're very well chosen roles, such as Bill the Butcher. Obviously one that I think we both love is There Will Be Blood. Last of the Mohicans, he's great in. My Left Foot. But it's like this guy, Lincoln, it's like this guy does stuff every 4 or 5 years, and he's apparently retired after Phantom Thread. But this is the first time I saw him, was Bill the Butcher.
Yeah.
I didn't know who he was really. I didn't really understand who Daniel Day-Lewis was, how he was, known as one of the greatest actors of all time. And then he goes on, There Will Be Blood in Lincoln, where he, just shattered everybody at the, during award season. And yeah, he's this kind of guy who really, when I look back at this movie, he's who I remember. But Leo's also really good in this movie. We talked about him obviously with Shutter Island. It's he's so consistent, and he's awesome in Gangs of New York.
Yes, he is. That duo, Day-Lewis and DiCaprio, Jesus Christ. There's no way in hell you're going to measure up to those guys on camera. Like, everyone in this movie is second, third banana to these guys. And I feel bad for them because there's a lot of great performances in this movie, but nothing comes close to those two guys. And even Leo doesn't come close to Daniel Day-Lewis.
No. Yeah, seriously. I think Daniel Day. I think this, and then I think Daniel Plainview from There Will Be Blood are like two, as definitely from that decade, two of the best performances I've seen from that decade. No, like hands down.
Oh, the guy is on a completely different level. He's not even human. What he can do with a performance.
Yeah, he's crazy. He's crazy, man.
Jesus. So before we get into the film, let's talk a bit about the history behind it.
Yes, for sure. I actually, this is something I don't know much about, so I'm very keen to hear what you have for us today.
This is like the only movie that ever talked about this time in history. What was happening in the poor neighborhoods during the Civil War, and just a city just ravaged by crime that nobody was doing anything about. Like, this is New York City at its absolute worst. Like, if you thought like Taxi Driver in New York City was scary, hold on to your fucking, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So the setting of this film is a 19th century neighborhood known as the Five Points, named for the five corners created by the intersection of Orange Street, Cross Street, Anthony Street, and Little Water Street. All of these streets now are gone. It's been paved over. The Five Points is basically just like another section of the of New York skyscrapers. Like, it's nothing anymore. The area was run by dozens of gangs, all of whom wanted dominance over every aspect of the city. And there were just constant, like, Irish gangs, black gangs, English gangs, Italian gangs. Everybody had a gang. And one such gang was the Dead Rabbits, made up mostly of Irish immigrants. And they clashed mainly with the natives, who were made up of so-called native inhabitants, natural-born Americans who believed the Irish were a blight upon the earth. And that is probably the biggest thing that this movie took from history, is the hatred of the Irish.
Yes.
Which is ironic, considering Daniel Day-Lewis is a prominent Irish actor. I love that. The shit he talks about the Irish, I'm laughing my ass off the whole time, knowing he's Irish. And their leader in the film is Bill the Butcher Cutting, inspired by the real-life gang leader Bill the Butcher Poole. Regrettably, the real Bill the Butcher was not from the 5 Points. He was killed long before the draft riots. He was not known to have killed anybody. He was a gang leader, and he was an actual butcher, but he was not nowhere near as ruthless and monstrous as the movie portrays him. And I find it interesting that the real Bill the Butcher was not involved in any of this. But he had such a cool name, they're like, let's take him.
Yeah. Yeah, and use a costume that is just, he looks like a goddamn pirate sometimes.
His
fucking,
New York accent that comes through. He's like, oh my god. He's terrifying.
I know. And we could talk about Daniel Day all day. Yeah, he's crazy. Obviously, he's like one of those guys who, just locks into his character the entire time. I just imagine how annoying he was on set when the cameras aren't rolling and he's just just still talking like that. Oh man,
dude, I feel bad for his wife.
I feel bad for anyone who came in contact with him during any time he was shooting a movie.
His wife had to live with Christy Brown, Bill the Butcher, Daniel Plainview,
Abraham Lincoln. Yeah.
Something Woodcock. I don't remember his name in Phantom Thread, but all of these people.
Yeah.
She never really had her husband. I don't think Daniel Day-Lewis has an identity. I think he has a very fucked up psyche to be able to go that deep into a character. I'm afraid. I don't know anything about the guy, like who he is. I don't think anybody does.
Oh no, yeah, there's comparisons to our for America, like Meryl Streep, very much just kind of lives in her house and hangs out with her family, chills out with her husband, lives a very normal life, and is I don't really, And Daniel Day-Lewis is even on a different level than that. He's even more of a recluse than that. A lot of people just have no idea what his personal life is like. You have to really get on the internet and do research, which is amazing. That he's one of the 5 greatest actors of all time, and we know nothing about him.
It's weird.
Yeah. No, but I love it. I really do. It makes it so easy to just look at his art, look at his craft, and leave it at that. And that's what it is.
Very true. Very true. I think if we did know about Daniel Day-Lewis, it would take away from the work.
Yeah, it always does, right? It always does. Even as much as I adore Leonardo DiCaprio, I know that there's a part of his life where he is very hidden about who he dates, and he's dating a different person every month, and he doesn't allow them to post pictures of him and stuff like that. So it's that's kind of weird, and if we knew every little thing about every celebrity, it would make it hard to digest what they make,
Yeah, for sure. So the draft riots of 1863, they were started by the poor community of New York, mostly immigrants, who resented the fact that the rich were able to buy their way out of the draft for $300. And this was America's first ever draft, started by President Lincoln after the Battle of Gettysburg during the Civil War. He instituted a draft. We needed more troops. The Irish felt they were being forced to fight a war they had no stake in. They were fresh off the boat. They were given a musket and told, go fight for the North. They didn't know who the fuck the North was. They didn't know what this war was about, but they were on American soil, so they had to fight. So they resented that. I would resent that too.
Oh God, yeah. Well, yeah, you not like you said, you don't even know what the North is. You have no idea what the geography is of this place, man. You said, you just got here.
Yeah. So they responded in kind and attacked the rich in the street. And they also attacked black people who they blamed for being the cause of the war in the first place.
Well, yeah. I mean, good Lord, man. I mean, the Civil War is one of the most mind-boggling, things that you can really go into as a human being and be like, really? People really, really fought for this, It's really disgusting to look back that it's a part of our history, but it is. And movie and I like that you brought up that there's just not a lot of movies like made from this perspective.
Yeah, it's a Civil War movie that isn't a Civil War movie. It's about the tone of the nation more than it is about the actual war. And I love that. We never see that of wars like this. We see a lot of films about like Vietnam and the War on Terror in that vein, but never like this. Never the Civil War. And I think that's why this stands out to me is it's, I'm a history buff. I've talked a lot about that on the show. So this one really sucked me in pretty fast.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally understandable, man.
Oh, yeah. So because of these riots, the entire island of Manhattan was freaking the fuck out, attacking rich people, going to their homes, just ripping apart their luxurious lives. They were attacking black people. So the Union Army was called in and opened fire and killed 120 Americans. This was in the middle. This was 1863. This was in the middle of the Civil War.
Yeah.
The Union was called back. Part of the army was called back to New York to kill its own people. That's fucked up. That is beyond fucked up. 2,000 other people were injured and they dissipated because you can't step up. You can't stand up to that. And the draft still happened. They didn't change anything.
Oh, hell no.
Fuck. And that's the last third of the movie. So now that we know some backstory, let's talk about the movie.
Let's do this.
Scorsese had been trying to make Gangs of New York since the 70s, but he lacked the Hollywood clout or the financing to get it made.
Good, because if he would have made that back then, Daniel Day-Lewis wouldn't be in it.
Who would be in it is fucking bonkers.
So, well, Robert De Niro, I assume?
No.
No?
Brace yourself. So,
oh boy.
After Mean Streets and Taxi Driver, Scorsese bought the rights to the book The Gangs of New York, An Informal History of the Underworld by Herbert Asbury.
Yeah.
Originally, and this was his original plan, Scorsese intended Amsterdam Vallon to be played by Dan Aykroyd and Bill the Butcher to be John Belushi. That was the plan. He wanted to dramatize the Blues Brothers and make Gangs of New York.
Thank the Lord that didn't happen.
Well, John Belushi's untimely death is what caused the project to fall apart. But they were all fully committed to this. This was going to happen.
What?
Yeah, this was going to happen straight up. But Belushi died.
And was Chevy Chase going to play John C. Reilly's character or what? What's going on?
Oh my God.
Hell.
National Lampoon's Gangs of New York. I don't know.
Apparently, yeah. SNL presents. Yeah, what is going on?
Oh my God.
That sounds insane.
Think about it though. If that had happened, what movie would we be talking about today?
I don't know, man. That might have been a Scorsese one that fell through the cracks, my man.
That might have been the one that just obliterated his career from the beginning. Because if he had done something like that at the start, Scorsese might have been a two-hit wonder.
Jeez, man.
Sometimes things, work out in a weird way. So he tried again in the 90s and was going to have Mel Gibson as Amsterdam.
I can't picture this.
But get this. Willem Dafoe as Bill.
Oh, that would have been interesting.
That would have been very interesting.
That would have been a weird movie, but I would have been down. Yeah.
I am on board with anything Dafoe does.
I thought you were gonna say Adam Sandler and Chris Rock.
Oh my God.
Chris Farley somewhere in there too,
I can see Chris Farley as
Kill the dead rabbits.
Oh my God. I just watched that documentary last night. I Am Chris Farley.
Oh,
and
dude.
It was so cool learning about his the origins of Matt Foley.
Yes.
That was so crazy. He had it all planned out already. Great story. Great eye opener of a documentary. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, obviously Connor and I are massive Chris Farley fans, massive Tommy Boy fans, Black Sheep, SNL, all things Farley. So yeah, I'm really glad you saw that.
Me too. So that fell through as well. The 90s Gangs of New York. Finally, 2002, he was able to secure funding, and he got Leonardo DiCaprio and Daniel Day-Lewis. His third choice.
I guess this will be all right. Yeah.
Fine, I'll settle for the greatest living actor of our generation. All right, yeah, if I have to.
Oh, man.
So, Oscar winner Daniel Day-Lewis may just be the most dedicated actor who ever lived. He's the only man to date to win 3 Oscars for Best Actor for his performances in 1989's My Left Foot, 2007's There Will Be Blood, and 2012's Lincoln. He was also nominated for his performances in 1993's In the Name of the Father, 2002's Gangs of New York, and 2017's Phantom Thread. He's currently retired, but here's hoping he returns for something. He's on a completely different level than literally everyone else working today. And he came out of retirement once already for Gangs of New York. So if there's something that is so mind-blowingly original and can really challenge him as an actor, there's no doubt in my mind he'll come back.
Yeah, I wonder who would entice him. Because at this point,
yeah, the only director who can is Paul Thomas Anderson.
Yeah, but PTA's next movie we know for sure he wouldn't be in because it's about like teenagers in the San Fernando Valley area. So I don't see Daniel Day-Lewis doing that, but
maybe a newcomer. Like I could see Robert Eggers doing something.
Yeah, I was just about to say maybe like even like let's see. What's his name? Like Dennis Villeneuve, the guy who did Arrival and Blade Runner and all those, and he's doing Dune. Maybe if Dune works out, like, well, maybe like, yeah, who knows? Maybe Daniel Day would be like, oh, I'd work with that guy.
He seems more of maybe Yorgos' speed.
Oh, that would be a dream. That would be a dream.
There's so many incredible up-and-comers right now that Daniel Day-Lewis has got to be. Hell, the Safdie brothers.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, let me, real quick, we'll go on, a little segue. So Daniel Day-Lewis texted Adam Sandler after he saw Uncut Gems. Daniel Day-Lewis saw Uncut Gems in theaters and texted Adam Sandler, good job. And, Sandler calls him, he calls him Danny.
Jesus
and I was listening to Adam Sandler in an interview, and he's talking about Uncut Gems and how he's like, yeah, this is, one of the coolest things I got to be a part of. Yeah, I think there's like a connection there because Sandler has a connection with PTA because of Punch Drunk Love. Maybe there's a way that the Safdies' next film could have Daniel Day-Lewis in it. That's a good call, man. I like that.
I can't believe Adam Sandler and Daniel Day-Lewis are like buddies.
PTA,
That's
man.
So weird to me, man.
PTA, those guys, Tarantino has the same effect. They just like bring people together that you would never think would, like be friends or work together. It's crazy.
It's like Picasso and Bob Ross having coffee. It's just weird to me, man.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Crazy.
It's like two completely different worlds, but it's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so weird. So, yeah, we love Daniel Day-Lewis. So we talked at length about Leonardo DiCaprio's career in our Shutter Island episodes. We're not going to rehash all that. So if you want to hear more about him, feel free to check that out. But he is fantastic as Amsterdam Vallon. Great, hero to follow. He's got a noble cause. His father was murdered by a psycho gangster, and he wants blood. How can you not get behind that?
Yeah, and Leo typically has the same haircut in most movies. Not in Gangs of New York. Gangs of New York, he lets it flow. I like the long hair look. I think it's a good look for Leo. The costume design in this movie is fucking spot on.
Oh yeah,
spot on. And yeah, we talked about DDL, how I'm serious, he looks like a pirate at times because of his eye and that headpiece. But Leo embodies old school New York.
Well, I love the set design is the goddamn star of the film.
Dude, yes.
Recreating Civil War era New York is so seamless. It doesn't feel like a set. It feels like, somehow they got a camera back to 1863 and filmed this thing. It's remarkable. It looks so good.
Well, yeah, Scorsese's always been so damn good at like paying attention to the details, like what kind of cups did they use during this time? What kind of, clothes were they wearing? What were they doing? How are they talking? And it's always, just masters it, whatever world he's in. he just kind of picks it up and lets go.
Hell yeah. I love Bill the Butcher's glass eye. That is such a cool touch.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about like, little things, yeah, that, as you're saying that Scorsese does. That is maybe his best like touch ever to go ahead and like let's give Bill the Butcher that fucked up eye. That's like one of the greatest.
The eye with the eagle. With the eagle.
Oh, dude.
Fucking American right there. The worst kind of American right there. And I love that Daniel Day-Lewis was so goddamn method. He learned to really tap that motherfucker with a real knife. In that one scene where he does that, he really fucking did that. He had a cap over his eye, and he was poking it with a knife, and he learned how to do it without blinking.
That's the shit. Guy? That's the shit we like. That's what we wait for, man. When we watch all these movies over and over, and you watch them and you consume all this stuff, that's the shit you wait for. Like, yes. DDO poking a glass eye with a knife. That's what we want. Oh man. Lord.
Oh, so going back into the cast, Cameron Diaz plays Jenny Everdeen, pickpocket with a heart of gold. Diaz has also since retired from acting, but some of her more well-known films include Charlie's Angels, the good one, The Mask, There's Something About Mary, Being John Malkovich, and the Shrek franchise as the voice of Princess Fiona. And I remember you telling me that you think she's the weakest part of this movie.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of the storyline between her and Amsterdam, really. As I've watched it, like, more as an adult. When I first saw it, I was like, it didn't really matter. Cameron Diaz is gorgeous. But as time goes on, you're just kind of like, I know which parts of this movie like really, really hit. And it's not necessarily Cameron Diaz's fault. She's going up against, some legends. And I just don't think the character's that good. Like, I'm not even sure what actress could have like pulled that off, if you know what I mean. It just doesn't seem like the greatest setup for her.
Well, I think her character exists solely so that Johnny can react to her spurning his advances and freak out and tell Bill what Amsterdam's really doing. I feel like that's why she's there.
Yeah.
Because other than that...
Yeah, I mean, she does kind of have to be there. But yeah, it's not... I don't know.
I agree. She doesn't really serve much purpose beyond plot device.
Yeah, this movie... I'll just say this movie's close to being like perfect aside from a few little things. And that's one of them.
Fair enough. And Cameron Diaz has never really done it for me anyway as an actor. I don't really think
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah. She's more of a movie star.
Yes, that's a great point. I mean, I love Charlie's Angels. I know you're a big fan too. But it's not the acting in that movie that's like it's more like, again, the production design, the costumes, and just the style of it,
The style, the tone, the Rockwell, it's all all sorts of stuff.
It's just fun. Yeah, it's just fun.
Oscar winner Jim Broadbent plays Boss Tweed, the politician who had New York City in his pocket. Real life character, Boss Tweed. Broadbent won his first Oscar for his performance in 2001's Iris. Some of his other work includes Moulin Rouge, Game of Thrones, Hot Fuzz, and the Harry Potter franchise as Professor Slughorn.
Yes.
I love Jim Broadbent to death. He is one of my favorite English character actors, and whenever he pops up, I just get happy.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it. Is I'm just get kind of a little bit giddy when he's on the screen. It's like, oh yeah, all right, Slughorn.
He's hands down my all-time favorite performance of his is Hot Fuzz.
Oh yeah, I think we were talking about that movie the other day. We got to do that soon.
I was watching it at work, and I thought, you know what, this would be perfect for the Wicker Man. Yeah,
I love Hot Fuzz.
Inspector Frank Butterman. Oh, that movie is. I think Hot Fuzz might have the smartest script ever written.
Wow, the
movie is the dialogue flips itself constantly. That is so difficult to do, but the movie pulls it off so flawlessly. It's a mirror image of itself. All right, I won't get ahead of myself because I want to save that for the inevitable Hot Fuzz episode. But I am so entranced by that movie, and yeah, I could watch it all day. It's one of my all-time favorites.
That's awesome.
But Jim Broadbent plays a real piece of shit in this movie as Boss Tweed.
Yes.
Brendan Gleeson plays Monk McGinn, Irish badass. If you're gonna have a movie about Irish gangs, you better fucking cast Brendan Gleeson.
Yes. Also a Harry Potter contributor.
Yes. Gleeson is a fantastic character actor, pops up quite a lot. Some of my personal favorites include In Bruges, 28 Days Later, Mr. Mercedes, and the Harry Potter franchise as Mad Eye Moody.
Yes.
Have you gotten a chance to check out Mr. Mercedes?
No, I have not.
It is such a neat show.
I
One
know
of
I
the
need
best
to,
adaptations of King's work ever done. And it's such a hard show to find. I hate that because I want more people to see this show.
Yeah.
It's on AT&T Audience Network, which who the hell has that? And the DVDs are so hard to track down. I have the first 2 seasons. It took me fucking forever, but I have them. And it's a great watch.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't even, speaking of Stephen King, I haven't even gotten around to The Outsider yet. So, I've TV, yeah, you know me, TV is like always on the back burner compared to watching films. I just kind of, when the time comes, then I'll start watching TV. But I don't really like seek it out unless it's like a week to week, like Better Call Saul,
I make exceptions for Stephen King's work.
Yeah.
And stuff I get obsessed with. Like currently, my finisher plan is Twin Peaks.
Yeah, yeah.
I need to see that through to the end. I've put too much time and effort into it to just let the last 8 episodes go away. I need to see this. I know I'm not gonna fucking like it, but I have to see it.
Yeah, I was like, good luck, man. Yeah, I think it's been a drag for you, so.
Fucking David Lynch. He needs a counterpoint. He needs somebody to say like, yeah, this looks cool, David, but we need a story.
Instead, he has Mark Frost, who's like, I think this would be weirder. Yeah, that's the thing about The Return. Nobody was in his ear. Nobody. No one, and you can tell.
This is the only time where I've ever thought like this needed some suits to interfere with. I need like an ABC executive to be like, dude, what the fuck is this?
There's a reason for the term industry. Yeah, no, I totally understand. I mean, I love it to death. It's one of my favorite seasons of TV, but I get it. It's a slog sometimes.
Fucking Dougie Jones. Right.
Can you imagine watching that if you hadn't seen Twin Peaks? Because so much of it is fanfare, and
who the fuck watches that without having watched Twin Peaks?
I'm just saying, like, what? Yeah, who there's got to be somebody out there.
Who the fuck? God damn.
He's like, oh, this has really good ratings on IMDb. I think I'm gonna check it out, and they're just completely lost.
Jesus Christ.
Oh man.
Oh boy. Well, we love Brendan
Gleeson. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah. Oscar nominee John C. Reilly plays Irish traitor Happy Jack, the policeman.
Yes.
Reilly was nominated for his performance in 2002's Chicago. Some of his other films include Step Brothers, Talladega Nights, Wreck-It Ralph, Carnage, Boogie Nights, and We Need to Talk About Kevin. Reilly is so good at straddling the line. He can do comedy. He can do drama. The guy is awesome. He's so underappreciated.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, he's in Magnolia. He's in my favorite movie, and one of my favorite roles in that movie. He plays that cop, and he has these he's constantly narrating over his day, and he's doing these voiceovers. But I didn't see that until I was 17 or 18. So I always knew him, like you said, as the comedic Step Brothers and Talladega Nights, because that's what I grew up with, right? So when you see how he's able to go from this monkey acting ridiculous character who's complaining about his drum set nonstop, and then he can be in Boogie Nights where he's like, oh man, this character has some fucking layers to him, it really is, like you said, his range is actually more impressive than I think people will ever give him credit for, probably because he took part in Will Ferrell's massive where he took over comedy during the early 2000s. Yeah. And John C. Reilly kind of wrote his coattails. But John C. Reilly has his own kind of filmography that you can look at and be like, wow, this guy has been all over the goddamn place and still does it. I mean, just a couple years ago he was in Sisters Brothers. Awesome movie. He's great in that. He can do everything, man.
My all-time favorite will forever be Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story.
Oh my god, dude. Walk Hard is so underrated.
One of the funniest goddamn movies of the 2000s that nobody really gave a chance to. And it makes me laugh so hard.
Yeah, it's like if he's not with Will Ferrell, people are like, which is such a damn shame.
And you
Yeah,
never
okay.
once paid for drugs. Not once. It's one of the most quotable films.
Yes.
I love Walk Hard.
Have you seen Cedar Rapids with him and Ed Helms?
I have not.
Oh man, he's great in that. Yeah. He if you look at his IMDb, you're like, oh my god, there's like a movie every year, and most of them are good.
Yeah, a lot of indie stuff. He doesn't pigeonhole himself. He does everything.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's worked with Paul Thomas Anderson. He's worked with Adam McKay. He'll do anything.
Right on. Finally, Oscar nominee Liam Neeson plays the brief but important role of Priest Valen.
Yes.
Neeson was nominated for his performance in 1993's Schindler's List. Some of his other films include Batman Begins, Michael Collins, Rob Roy, Kingdom of Heaven, Star Wars Episode I, The Phantom Menace, and the Taken franchise. Liam Neeson is an international treasure. That man is such a joy to watch. I love Liam Neeson.
Can I be honest? I don't love Liam Neeson.
Ooh.
So okay,
right.
well, just give me because those movies you named, there's not that many of them that I'm like too fond of.
Okay.
I think my favorite that he was in, or my favorite performance of his, is Silence, and after that would probably be Widows. I think Schindler's List is really good, but it's also so damn long and has some dull moments in my opinion. Yeah. I know the point of the movie is to be poignant and thought provoking. But so what do you love about Liam Neeson?
I love Batman Begins. I love Michael Collins. I love that for some reason he was embraced as an action star. I don't really know why, but I'll take it. And I like his voice. I like his demeanor, and I think he brings a kind of calmness to a lot of his movies. He plays a great mentor, and he's been one of my favorite actors since I was a kid. And I love the guy. I'm willing to give him a chance every time.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Yeah, I also hate the Taken movies. I think they are detrimental. I think they're terrible. And like you said, he's known as an action star. I don't know why. I really don't know why.
This is interesting. I didn't expect this to happen today.
Yeah, I really don't. I actually don't know if I could come up with 5 roles that I'm
oh my God,
really into. I really can't, because he's not in this movie. He's not in this movie enough for me to love this performance.
Liam Neeson is your Ethan Hawke.
Oh, don't go there.
Now it's my mission. Now I have to get you to realize the greatness of Liam Neeson.
I've seen all of those, and I just don't like them. Have you seen what's that one called? The Wolf or the Gray? That movie sucked.
I loved The Gray. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I hated The Gray.
It wasn't about the wolves. It was about man's need to bond with nature and find himself.
Yeah, and by the end you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I think I learned something about myself too. But I don't think he sells anything in that movie. That's hilarious. Boy. That's great.
Wow. Okay. Damn. Not even Batman Begins. He's
great in Batman Begins.
Okay.
Great in Batman Begins. Yeah. And he's great in like I said, I think he's great in Silence. Great. That is an awesome ballsy performance. But after that, man, I don't know. It's there's a big drop off for me.
Okay.
So your favorites are Begins.
Yeah.
Michael
Batman
Collins.
Begins, Michael Collins. I liked Love Actually.
I'm not a big fan of that movie either. Yeah. It's not really his fault in that one.
I went in expecting to hate that one, so I found it endearing, and it was charming and cute, and I liked that.
I went into it thinking this is a rom-com classic, I have to see it because it's one of those, and I don't know. I came out kind of why?
Have you ever seen Darkman?
No, I haven't. I've heard that's pretty good. Yeah.
That's early Sam Raimi with Liam Neeson playing a kind of borderline psychotic superhero.
I'll try that out. Yeah.
We'll save that for an episode because I think you would dig that.
Cool.
Right. Liam Neeson. All right. I learned something.
He also there's also other stuff off. Maybe we could talk about some other time off screen stuff. But that's neither here nor there.
Oh shit! I remember that. Okay. Yeah.
That's not too.
Right. That makes sense then.
That one was not. Yeah. That was different. That one.
Yeah, I remember when. Okay. It's all coming together now. Okay.
I'll be honest, it's mainly the work. Like the work is just not all the way there for me. There's like 3 or 4 that I like, and that's it.
Fair enough. He has been doing paycheck gigs for quite a while now. So Gangs of New York has an IMDb score of 7.5, Rotten Tomatoes score of 73%, and it was a decent success, grossing 193 mil on a budget of 100 mil. Whew, hefty budget.
Yeah, no kidding.
It was nominated for 10 Oscars.
Woo!
Best Picture, Best Actor for Daniel Day-Lewis. He lost to Adrian Brody. I can't fucking believe that. Best Director.
Yeah.
Best Original Screenplay. Best Cinematography. Best Art Direction. Best Costume Design. Best Film Editing. Best Sound Mixing. And Best Original Song for the U2 track, The Hands That Built America. And 2002, I guess, just was not... I think Chicago kind of swept everything.
Yes.
Except for director and actor, which went to The Pianist. And I think this is way better than Chicago.
Oh, I think Gangs of New York is better than Chicago and The Pianist.
I do like Chicago, but
it's good. Picture. It's good. It's entertaining, but when I look back, I just think Gangs is more powerful. There's got to be some other stuff from 2002.
Two Towers.
Oh, duh. Yeah, I was gonna say Lord of the Rings to me is better than all of those. Yeah. I think Fellowship, Two Towers, and they should have just fucking took them all. Best Picture, man.
That would have been insane.
but they were like, oh, we'll wait for the third one. We'll give it to them then, because it'll pan out.
One day we're gonna have to do just a big old Lord of the Rings episode.
Yeah, but the thing about that is, my only issue with that is do we include The Hobbit or do we not?
Well, we didn't include Fantastic Beasts for the Harry Potter episode, so maybe we do a separate thing for The Hobbit.
Yeah, so we just do the 3 that, Fellowship, Two Towers, and Return. Yeah, I think that's smart.
Yeah, because it's its own long story. You could seamlessly cut those together. It's its own thing.
Yeah.
So we should definitely give those special attention.
Yes.
All right, cool. Planning for the future. So let's get into the plot of Gangs of New York. So we open with Priest Valen, Liam Neeson, shaving dry with an old, rusted, straight razor. He cuts his cheek, hands the blade to his son, who's going to wipe the blood off, and Priest says, leave the blood. The blood stays on the blade. He puts away the blade in a black pouch. They say a prayer to St. Michael, and they march out of the cave with an army of Irishmen. What is going on here? They meet up with Monk, Brendan Gleeson, who says he'll fight as long as he gets paid for every notch on his club. Every time he kills somebody, he puts another notch in the club, knowing, that the way you can know how much to get. Valen agrees to pay him $10 for every new notch. He picks up his club, kicks open the door. Paradise Square, the 5 points of Manhattan. Valen and his gang, the Dead Rabbits, as well as a whole bunch of other immigrant gangs, unite in Paradise Square to confront the natives, led by Bill the Butcher. Already you're like, fuck.
This might be, aside from like the climax of the movie, the peak of the movie, this might be my favorite scene, because it's essentially the same thing, right? We essentially are seeing full circle at the end of the film. Valen gets to, Amsterdam gets to come back, and so the beginning of this film, in hindsight, is like just fucking breathtaking. And I remember when I first saw it as a kid, like you said, you're just like, what's going on? Like, this is so intense. What are they about to go do right now?
The out of tune flute music.
And,
everyone's like dressed in rags with weapons.
Yeah.
Fuck, man.
and John C. Reilly. You see him there with his fro, and you're like, that guy's intense. What's going on? Yeah, it's great, man.
And they meet in the snow, and then there's just this Red Baron looking motherfucker with cleavers. What the hell? And he's like, this battle will decide who rules the 5 points. Bill's people are in protest of the Irish. They're Protestant, and Priest is Irish Catholics. Same old fucking, Protestant and Catholic war. It's been going on for hundreds of years now, because fucking Henry VIII had to have another wife. That's the whole fucking reason we have that problem.
Yes.
I can't believe people hold on to that, knowing that that's why. Like, this is not a mystery. This isn't like thousands of years ago when a bunch of dudes in the cave wrote a book. This is recorded English history. Henry VIII wanted to get divorced. He couldn't do it as a Catholic, so he started his own fucking church. And now we have millions of dead bodies over hundreds of years to account for that. Like, just the whole Protestant Catholic thing just pisses me off. I'm sorry. Back to the movie.
Incredible.
Oh boy. So Valen says that he's tired of being harassed by Bill. He's tired of his Irish people being, beaten and killed in the street by the natives. So they're going to take Bill down once and for all. Free the 5 points for everybody. I love it when they zoom in on Bill's face and you get that image of the glass eye with the eagle on it. Just like, this is an asshole right here. This is a monster. He's fighting with cleavers. That is unbelievable. He just whips out meat cleavers and is ready to go. Who is this guy?
This motherfucker. Yeah.
Jesus. And they just, run at each other and they just start fighting. It's a fucking war. And Monk is like hitting people in the head with his club. People are getting stabbed. People are getting beaten. Bill and Priest find themselves, facing each other in the battlefield, and Bill gets Priest, stabs him in the chest like 4 or 5 times. Valen falls to his death. Bill says, look who I got. It's done. And they start dispersing. Bill's like, we won. Priest is dead. Priest's son, Amsterdam, goes over to comfort his dad, tells him, Priest, stay focused and, be a good lad. Bill finishes him off. Bill says, pick from the dead what you want, but no one touches Priest. His weird code of honor comes up a lot in this movie, Bill. I think a lot of that is Daniel Day-Lewis. I think it's his idea because I think he wanted Bill to be more than just a clear-cut villain. He wanted him to have layers. Yeah. And I love that because it really makes Bill seem more of a human character instead of just this, boogeyman. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, it's said in one of my favorite shows of all time, The Wire, Omar always says, there's a code. And I think that goes around, when you're in the game and you're a gangster like Bill, there's a certain point where it's like, there's a code. Like that's a man. I took him down fair and square, but that's it. We leave him there. Yeah. I love when gangsters and villains have layers like that to them. So cool.
Well, they need that. Otherwise, how are you going to relate to these people?
Yeah, it's either that. To me, there's like one or two ways to go about it. Or you can have a villain this is a weird shout out, but I just watched it on Mulan. Shan Yu. Shan Yu only pops up, in very vital moments and doesn't say a lot, but he's an evil motherfucker because of the way he stares at people and how he just wants to, take over everything. But a character like this, who's going to be on the screen a lot, like you said, we need those layers because he's going to be there all the time. So we don't want to just be some evil guy who has no rhyme or reason. Yeah, he's not, Bruce from Jaws,
There's times where I like Bill. There's times where Bill makes me laugh. There's times when I'm scared to shit of the guy. There's times when I want him dead. You have such a wave of emotions for Bill the Butcher in this movie. And I think that if anybody but Daniel Day-Lewis played him, we wouldn't have gotten that. I think anybody else would have just played him as a straight up psychopath. But Bill brings him down to earth. Daniel Day-Lewis brings him down to earth.
Yeah, and honestly, if he wasn't in, we might not be talking about this one today.
Very true. Very true. We'll be talking about that time where the Blues Brothers made a terrible career decision.
Yeah, or we would have chosen a totally different Scorsese movie.
Oh yeah. So Monk goes through Priest's pockets and grabs something. Amsterdam is pissed and never forgets this. And they start hauling Priest's body away. Bill's men ask what they should do with the boy. Bill tells him put him in a school so he can get a proper education, an American education. Amsterdam grabs the knife from his father's chest, threatens Bill's men, and takes off. Runs through the brewery. Amsterdam's friend Jimmy hits one of them in the shin, knocks the man to his feet. Amsterdam runs down to the cave, opens a compartment, and places his father's medallion and dagger inside. And Bill's men grab him. He ends up in prison. Outside, priest's body's placed on a cart and wheeled away. We zoom out. The year is 1846. 16 years later, we meet grown-up Amsterdam Valen, Leonardo DiCaprio, who's being given a blessing and a Bible by a priest. He's leaving Hellgate, an orphanage. As he leaves the place, he immediately throws the Bible over the bridge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, this is not a man of God. This is a man of revenge. That is all he has on his mind. For 16 years, he has wanted to kill the man who killed his father.
Yeah, from a boy, I would say, 10 years old to like a mid-20s, man. Yeah. I mean, that would be like you or I, 16, 15 years ago, watching our father die. We're like, yeah, I'm going to go back and kill that guy now. Like, now. Yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah. Spent the last 16 years in an orphanage thinking of nothing else.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus. So Amsterdam's narrating, talking about history as of now, says that during the Civil War, New York was a city full of tribes, rival gangs competing for control of the 5 points. Bill the Butcher is walking to the office of Boss Tweed, running for, I think it's mayor. And Tweed's discussing how they can get more voters and municipal services for the poor. Really, it's all about, it's politics. Politics have never changed in 100 years, 200 years. Like, it's always been about, looking like you want to help, but in reality, filling your pockets as much as you can.
Yes.
Nobody gives a fuck about the poor. Nobody has ever given a fuck about the poor.
Yeah.
Sad, but it cuts to Amsterdam walking on the docks as we see hundreds of Irish disembarking a ship. The immigrants are harassed openly by Bill's men. One of the guys throws something at an old Irish woman, hits her in the face, yells at her to get back on the boat. Another fucking thing we never learned from. We still harass immigrants. That hasn't changed either.
No.
This movie's a hell of a fucking eye-opener in a lot of ways. Ugh. Amsterdam passes him by, is greeted by a man who welcomes him, thinking he's an immigrant. He offers him bread and reminds him to vote Tweed. Fucking asshole.
Vote for Donnelly.
Hi, folks, vote for Donnelly. Jesus Christ.
Well, see, that's what I'm thinking, because you said that thing about gangs almost being made in the 90s.
Yeah.
If Chris Farley would have been it. Vote for Tweedy. Oh, man.
So Amsterdam is also asked to join the army, join the draft, but he refuses that. And other Irish are offered money, 3 meals a day, and only if they join right away and ship out. They are literally right outside the ship that comes in and telling them to get on another boat, which then takes them to the war. And in exchange, they get money and 3 meals a day. And to a lot of people, that was enough. That's all they needed, all they wanted.
Yep.
The guarantee that you're going to eat today. So if you had to go fight a war for that, it was worth it. But sick that they would just stand outside an immigrant boat recently arriving and say, hey, 3 meals a day, get on that ship. What the fuck? That's some 16th century pirate shit.
Yeah, welcome to America. Yeah.
Jesus. So Amsterdam makes his way to the cave from the beginning of the movie, opens the compartment, he takes out the dagger and the medallion. He's interrupted by Johnny, played by Henry Thomas.
Yeah.
BT and the new Jack Torrance from Dr. Sleep.
Yes.
Cool. And he and his partner Jimmy Spoils, played by Lawrence Gilliard Jr., Bob from The Walking Dead, for you Walking Dead fans. He's the guy who got his leg eaten off by the cannibals. Grizzly. And they try to kill him, but Amsterdam knocks out Jimmy, breaks his nose. Johnny pulls a knife. Amsterdam turns against him. Johnny sees the medallion and is like, hey, it's you, the priest's son. So the legend of Priest Valen has kind of stayed alive in this neighborhood for 16 years. He's the one who brought all the Irish gangs together, to fight the bad guy. And even though he died, he became kind of a martyr. And now, the return of the Valen bloodline is like here to, restore order. A lot of these people see Amsterdam as the one true hero who can finally take out Bill and restore order to the 5 points. And it's not that simple, regrettably. Amsterdam leaves the cave. Johnny comes after him and is like, hey, I got to show you around. This is your, things have changed. And Johnny tells him about how Monk owns a barber shop, and Bill celebrates Priest Valen's death every year by drinking a glass of booze that he lights on fire. That's Jesus Christ. We're talking about rubbing salt in the wound. Just every year. Like, remember that hero of yours that I killed in cold blood in the middle of the street? Let's celebrate it. Oh my God. Let it go, Bill.
Yeah, come on, Bill.
You know what I think that is? And I think this comes up a bit in the movie. I don't think it's so much as digging salt in the wound as it is Bill holding on to the last day of glory he had.
Well, yeah, okay, that's a great point, because I think Bill, like a lot of great anti-heroes, great villains, needs a good challenge, needs an actual opponent. And like you said, there's been 16 years where these people are like, we're waiting for like the Valen bloodline to come back to like lead us, because they didn't have enough balls to just do it. So I look at Bill where he's looking around like, someone, please, like, come challenge. Like, he's kind of like the Joker. Like, come on. Like, I want it. Like, I want you to challenge me. I want you to beat me up. I want you to shoot at me, stab me. Like, let's do this.
Yeah.
But no one's nearly as crazy as him. So when you step in the ring with him, he's going to beat you unless you're as crazy as Valen. So.
And even like when Bill does discover that Amsterdam's trying to kill him, he has so many opportunities to just cut Amsterdam's throat and be done with it. But he doesn't. If anything, he makes him more determined to take him down. He builds his own enemy. Yeah, because
it's kind of like, remember in Itch of the Killer where he's like, I need this pain. I need like competition. That's amazing.
Up, but it makes sense.
But I love that. I love sports. I love like great people, like competitors who are like, bring it on, man. Like, let's do this. And that's what Bill is. Bill is like the Michael Jordan of the 5 points.
True. He's had 16 years of people just bowing to him and kowtowing, doing whatever the hell he says. He misses the challenge of Priest. He misses being a gang leader, fighting for blood in the street. That was who he is. And he wants that back.
Oh boy. Amsterdam will bring it.
Oh, yeah,
it's great. Yeah. It's great. Yeah, this story really is just like classic, the way it builds, the tropes it uses. It's perfect, It's so well done.
Oh, for sure. So Johnny gets bumped into by Jenny Everdeen, who introduces her to Amsterdam, and she steals Amsterdam's watch.
Yes, she does.
She's a pickpocket. Johnny's in love with her. Jenny could care less. She's in it for herself. She's here to just get, do right by herself, because this is a city where being a beautiful woman, can only get you so far, and you need to secure something for yourself, or else you're going to end up in the streets.
Yes.
And I love this scene. Later that night, there's a house on fire, and people are running into the house to grab stuff, like to grab goods that they can get before the house burns down.
Yeah.
And you see two rival gangs of firemen come by to try to put the fire out, but they fight with each other while the house is on fire. Nobody's dealing with that. Even the firemen have gangs.
Tribalism.
Oh, it's crazy. Tweed's firemen come up and somebody covers the fire hydrant with a barrel. He uses the incident to campaign. Tweed's like, vote Tweed and this won't happen. And another group of firemen arrive, led by Bill, and those two groups start fighting. Johnny takes advantage. He grabs Amsterdam. They go into the building to search for valuables. Amsterdam finds some watches. Johnny grabs a music box. A beam falls and traps him in. He calls for Amsterdam, who grabs more jewelry and heads out. But he comes back to save Johnny because he's a good guy. He could have just left him there to die. And frankly, she should have.
Yeah.
But, he doesn't know that yet. So as they're leaving, somebody removes the barrel from the hydrant and they start putting out the fire. But I think Tweed says, this one's too far gone. Let's save the next one. And the next house isn't even on fire yet, but people break in and start stealing shit.
Yeah. Just looting. Yeah.
There is no law and order in this city. The Law and
No.
Order is the guy on the fucking fire hydrant saying, like, go rob that house.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. So Johnny takes Amsterdam to meet his friends, and they show him everything they stole from the burning building. And then Happy Jack shows up. He was one of the dead rabbits, and he's now a crooked cop. It's John C. Reilly, and he takes his tribute. Ugh, this guy really pissed me off, Happy Jack.
I know, dude.
I was really hoping for a change of heart, where like,
Me too.
I'm a dead rabbit at heart. I can't do this anymore. But no, he's a piece of shit to the bitter end. The next day, Amsterdam and Johnny go take the rest of their goods to a pub where Bill plays cards. Johnny walks up to Bill to give him money, but Amsterdam stays back. He can't look Bill in the eye, and Bill points that out. I knew a guy who lied to me. He couldn't look me in the eye. He sees a drawing of his father on the wall, and Bill is like, hey, you, Shifty, back there. Who are you? And he introduces himself as Amsterdam, and my hands down favorite line in the movie, Bill says, well, I'm New York. Oh, my God.
Oh, man.
Oh, I love it. That tells you everything you need to know about this son of a bitch. He's New York.
Yeah.
Oh, God. So he tells Johnny how they can make more money. Says, Amsterdam, don't be a stranger, but next time, bring something. You can't come in here unless you bring something. Later that night, Jimmy, Amsterdam, Johnny, they're rowing through the harbor trying to find a ship. When they board it, they find it's already been robbed. They try to search for anything they can find. Amsterdam sees a man dressed in a Union uniform coming out with a rifle, and a shot's fired, but the man was dying, so it went into the air. He gets knifed in the back. Basically, this is it was a Union ship that was already robbed, and they find nothing to steal, so they take the guy's body.
Yeah.
They sell it for science. And this was something that really happened in the 1800s. Have you ever heard of Burke and Hare?
I don't think so.
They were a duo in England around this time, around Victorian times, who were selling bodies for cash. But, stumbling upon dead bodies is rare. And in this line of work, it behooves oneself to create their own supply. So they started murdering people and selling the bodies to science for extra cash. And they started murdering, first they started with, poor homeless people, but they moved on to people of note and wealthy people who had money to leave them. And they got caught eventually and were hanged. But they're the most famous example of this. And it's a crazy fucking story. They made a movie. John Landis made a movie about them a few years ago, starring Simon Pegg and Andy Serkis.
What was it called?
Burke and Hare.
Okay. What the hell? I've never heard of that movie.
It's a crazy story.
Have you seen the movie?
I have not. I want to. I can't get a hold of it. It was on Netflix for a while, but they took it off.
Yeah, that sounds really random.
Yeah. I'm surprised John Landis is even allowed to make movies anymore.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
So they sell the body to science. The newspaper calls them ghouls, but Bill is hell of a way to think. You didn't have anything, so you made a buck off what you could. So he admires Amsterdam's quick thinking. But Bill's right-hand man, McGloin, does not agree. And him and Amsterdam start fighting. Amsterdam clearly winning. Bill picks up the drawing of priest that fell to the ground. Tells Amsterdam, you know who that is? That was the best guy I ever fought. Bill remembers it fondly. Those were the days.
The glory days, yeah.
Yeah. So Bill is now impressed by Amsterdam, and he takes him and Johnny on a tour of the 5 Points, while Happy Jack is giving a rich family, the Schermerhorns, a tour. And Monk also greets. He walks by, he greets Bill, and pushes up Amsterdam's hat to get a look at his face. Monk knows he's Priest's son. He knows that face. Amsterdam comes across Jenny again. She bumps into him and realizes she took his medallion. He follows her onto a streetcar, sees her steal a man's pocket watch using this very smart, hand placement dress thing where it looks like her hands are out in front of her, but really those are just gloves and her hands swiping his watch. It was smart.
Very, yeah.
He, he yanks her aside, says, give me my medallion back. She threatens him, cuts him on the neck, and says, I'll kill you. And he's like, go on, do it, knowing she's not going to do it. And she opens her blouse, shows him all the medallions, and she's like, I don't know which one it is. He takes his, and they start walking. It's fun. Reminded me very much of The Departed, when Costigan is like screaming at Vera Farmiga and is like, so can I get you a coffee?
Yeah.
At the end of it. Leo is the master at the angry date.
Yeah, like let's scream at each other and then cool. Yeah, so you want to go have some tea? Fuck yeah, I want to have some tea.
So
you remember that on Wolf of Wall Street?
Yeah.
When Margot Robbie's like, you want to have some tea? Fuck yeah, I want to have some tea. Oh, Leo, you didn't have to sell that one.
Movie is so insane.
It really is. It's absurd. He has so many lines in it that are hilarious, like just jaw-dropping stuff.
You gotta bring those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers.
3 times a day. Yeah.
Oh my god, I love that they got McConaughey in that movie just so we can talk about like, dude, you need to jerk off more and also do this fist thing. Like the whole point he's there. I love it.
That's it. Yeah.
Oh boy. So Jenny and Johnny attend a public dance. Jenny is seated with her back to the men and is holding a mirror, and she chooses Amsterdam instead of Johnny. Johnny is spurned by this, does not like it, and he does not forget or forgive. She and Amsterdam begin dancing, and they go to the docks where they're going to have sex, and she points out that she got a locket from Bill, and he immediately stops and is like, what did you give him in return? And when he realizes, well, obviously they slept together, he fucks off. He's like, I'm not sleeping with somebody who slept with Bill. Like, that is a level of hatred that is hard to aspire to.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, no, this can't happen. I got to get out of here. Yeah.
You've been touched by the butcher. I don't want you in my life. Like, damn. So Amsterdam then starts working for Bill. Bill shows him how to hurt or kill people by stabbing them in specific points on a pig's carcass. He's like, that's a wound. That's a kill. That's a kill. Like, Jesus. Oh, boy. He makes Amsterdam a collector. So when a boxing match is broken up by the police, Amsterdam finds a place outside the city where the cops can't break it up. And Bill is like, look at this kid. He's doing – it's a gangster movie. It's all the points of a gangster movie.
Yes.
And Bill gives him the glory. He's like, this is the guy. This is the guy who fixed the boxing matches. But he sees Jenny leave with Johnny, and they go to a theater showing of Uncle Tom's Cabin. The audience begins booing the performance and throwing vegetables at the stage. I always wonder about that. Like, who goes to these things with vegetables? Like, I really hope this is a terrible play so I can chuck this.
Yeah. This delicious tomato. Yeah.
I think that came up in Batman Returns when Penguin gets pelted by the vegetables and he's like,
why
do always bring to these things?
You're right. Yeah, you're right. Oh, so good.
So in the chaos, an assassin tries to get Bill, but Amsterdam stops him. He warns Bill, tackles the guy. Bill gets shot in the shoulder, and Bill is pissed. Like he hulks the fuck out and grabs the guy. And it's like, who sent you? But the guy doesn't, he doesn't speak English. And Bill takes another favorite line of mine. He grabs a knife. He's like, you see this knife? I'm going to teach you to speak English with this fucking knife. And like goes to the guy, but the guy dies.
Oh, man.
Oh, boy.
Oh, I'm going to teach you to speak fucking English. Yeah. Classic line.
Amsterdam runs off and is like, what the fuck? Why did I do that? Why did I save him? And Monk finds him and tells him that, hey, Priest died helping the Irish, not the natives. Or what are you doing? So Monk knows who he is, but he's not willing to help. It's not his war. The war is over, so why bother? Later that night, Bill, Amsterdam, Tweed, and other people are drinking in the brothel. Jenny comes by, cleans Bill's wound for him, goes upstairs to her room. Amsterdam follows her, grabs her, and they sleep together. And Johnny sees the two of them, runs off. Amsterdam wakes up to find Bill sitting in a chair watching him. And he is wearing a fucking American flag. He's draped in a flag. God damn. And he asks Bill, like, is this okay? Because, like she was Bill's girl, and Bill's like, hey, whatever you want. You're my guy. You saved my life. You saved the boxing matches. You fuck whatever you want. Like, just. And Amsterdam,
okay, Bill.
He's scared. Like, he thinks Bill's gonna fucking jump him. But Bill starts talking about the time he fought Priest for the first time, and how Priest Vallon spared his life. And in shame, Bill cut out his own eye. Jesus. He sent it to Priest. What the fuck? That is not an enemy you want. A guy who's willing to cut his own eye out for a message. Jesus. He says, now I'll never look away in shame again. And he describes the day he killed Priest. And Bill says he gained power in the 5 points through the spectacle of fearsome acts. And he says civilization is crumbling. He's clearly a man tortured by his just boredom. He got all the way to the top and there's nowhere else to go. And the climb is over and he doesn't know how to handle this. He sees promise in Amsterdam. He sees a project, somebody he can mold. It's weird. Bill was totally prepping Amsterdam to be his successor until it was revealed who Amsterdam really is. And then it turns into something completely different. I love that. Bill, ugh. So Amsterdam's like, congrats on the victory, and Bill leaves. Amsterdam tells Jenny that if she wants to know anything about him, she should ask. She explains how she was a prostitute. She had an abortion, and she was carved open. I can't believe she survived that in those times.
Yeah, I don't understand that either.
I mean, people, battlefield amputations where people had to lose their fingers, people would die from that. But to have an abortion, like a back alley abortion in the 1860s, Jesus.
Crazy.
But Bill took her in, and that's why she's kind of devoted to him. She insists that Bill never put his hands on her until she said he could. Later that night, Monk sees Amsterdam throwing a dagger into a wooden post, like he's practicing. Johnny then goes to talk to Bill before Bill does a public performance, like knife throwing and whatnot. And he tells Bill that Amsterdam is Priest's son. That motherfucker, that traitor.
Piece of shit.
The amount of lives that are destroyed because this son of a bitch had to, do this. And Bill he does not take it well.
Oh no.
Yeah, he freaks out, nearly kills Johnny, but he listens. At first he's like, how dare you? Amsterdam is my guy. How dare you lie about him? He defends him. Like, Bill loves this kid.
Ridiculous.
It's weird. You feel kind of a sense of betrayal for Bill.
Yeah, yes.
This movie is so brilliantly crafted. You actually feel bad for the bad guy. Like, the worst guy, a monster. But you're like, damn, sorry. Oh, boy. So Amsterdam walks into the restaurant. He tries to call Johnny, but Johnny ignores him. He sits. Jenny goes over to him. An announcer then comes and tells Bill, hey, perform. Come on, Bill. Show us some stuff. And Bill says he's going to do the Butcher's Apprentice, this act he has. And he asks for Jenny to participate. This was so fucking tense.
I know.
It's crazy. She steps onto the stage, and Bill starts throwing knives at her. His throws get very close to her, and one shot gets her on the neck, nicks her. He then walks to his table, says some words about Priest, lifts up his drink of fire. Amsterdam throws a dagger at him. Bill blocks it with a cleaver, drops the drink, fire explodes. And Bill throws a knife at Amsterdam, gets him in the gut. Not a kill, but a wound. Amsterdam is then held down on a table. Bill announces that the son of Priest Vallon has returned and is a coward for trying to kill him like that. Bill headbutts him and brands him on the cheek with a hot knife.
Crazy.
Embarrasses him in front of the entire town. But more than that, he announced to the whole town that he's Priest's son, that somebody has returned. And he probably shouldn't have done that. So Jenny takes Amsterdam away to a cave, nurses him back to health, and he really does not have that bad of a wound. considering he got, hot iron pressed on his face.
Yeah.
It was actually like, I don't think you could even see a wound. Monk visits them and Amsterdam asks, if you loved my father so much, why'd you rob him? And Monk says to keep this safe, and he gives him priest's straight razor that still has the dried blood. That's what he took from his pockets at the beginning.
Oh, man.
Monk always cared. Yes.
Yes. Hell yeah.
About 3 months later, after he's recovered, Amsterdam goes to Paradise Square and hangs a dead rabbit on a pole. Fucking message. The dead rabbits were outlawed when Bill took power, and so this is very much a upfront challenge. And Bill gets a hold of the rabbit. He sends Happy Jack to kill Amsterdam, but Amsterdam kills Jack, hangs him up in the square too.
Woof.
Shit.
Intense.
Amsterdam and his Irish people, gathering more by the day, find sanctuary in the church, and Bill is a little sad for the loss of Jack, who is an easily corruptible cop. Jimmy tells Bill where to find Amsterdam, and Bill's reluctant to go there and confront him because he's hiding in the church. But Bill, sensing that Jimmy might betray anyone as easily as he betrayed Amsterdam, has Jimmy impaled on the spiked fence in Paradise Square, left for Amsterdam to find him. Well, not Jimmy, Johnny. Sorry. Johnny is the one who's impaled. And Amsterdam, mercifully kills him. Frankly, I would have left that son of a bitch to suffer. He caused this.
Yeah, no
Bill
kidding.
would have gone down no issues if Johnny just kept his goddamn mouth shut. But nope. So Amsterdam and his men are now dressed in the red of the dead rabbits. They're wearing the uniform now. They're gathering strength. Tweed goes to ask for their help in getting votes.
Bastard.
He makes a deal with them and said he'll help them elect an Irish sheriff if they'll tell the Irish to vote Tweed. And they choose Monk, who wins the election. And this was so fucked up. Bill just kills Monk day one.
I know.
Throws a fucking cleaver at his back. After Monk suggests, this isn't like the old days, let's go talk. Monk turns around, Bill throws a fucking knife in his back. And then takes the club and beats him to death after carving another notch in it. Jesus Christ. And he does this in front of everybody. Like, there's no secret here. And at Monk's funeral, Amsterdam they're walking the body through the streets, and Bill is just standing there, smug as a bug, watching. And Amsterdam says, "This is a challenge." And Bill, without hesitation, is like, "I accept."
Yeah.
He's been waiting for that.
He's later like, finally, my boy. Yes.
They later have a meet, all the gangs of the city, and they discuss terms. And
which is just like, fucking dude. I this is just not gonna happen anymore because times have changed or whatever. But when they are having that discussion, it is the most like big dick fucking discussion of all time. And they're like, "Look, man, we're not using guns. Like we both know that this needs to be blood. Like blood needs to be shed, bones need to be crushed, like that kind of thing."
Oh yeah.
And it's so cool that they're on the same page.
This is a personal war for the soul of the city. And
yes,
I love that. Like Amsterdam says, no guns, and Bill's like, "Good boy."
Yeah. Well done. Yeah. Yes.
Well done, lad.
You've been taught well. Yes. So good.
Oh my God. Oy. That scene reminded me so much of the five families sitting down in The Godfather. It's like, it's the bosses,
yes,
the people who really run this shit, divvying up the loot.
Yeah.
So the day arrives. Amsterdam cuts himself on the cheek with the razor. If he survives this battle, tetanus is going to get him in the end. He looks at he looks at Jenny. Jenny says, she's leaving for San Francisco. She wants him to go with her, but he says, "I can't, not yet, not till this is over." And that's when the Conscription Act gets enforced. The Union Army is ordered to recruit anybody who can't pay $300 to get out of the draft. And that includes most of the city, because who the hell could pay $300 at a time when, you were happy to get a penny for your day's work? And because of this, a series of riots break out. Crowds start pillaging the streets, burning homes. P.T. Barnum's House of Wonders gets cut loose. I love that. P.T. Barnum's just wandering around in this movie.
Why not?
And, it's crazy. Lets you know that this all happened at the same time. People,
yes,
you don't think about that, but yeah. And they cut the telegraph line so the cops and authorities can't communicate to stop the riots. And Jenny and Jimmy get attacked in the process. Jenny gets beaten. Jimmy gets assaulted. And in Paradise Square, the dead rabbits and the natives meet. And just as they're about to start brawling, and Bill looks exactly the fucking same. He's wearing the same Red Baron hat, same cleavers. Like, he's been preparing for this for 16 years. Oh, my God. But as they're about to fight, the Navy fires cannons into the 5 points and blows apart both armies. They don't get their brawl. The army moves into the city, starts firing on the survivors. McGloin gets killed, and in the end, it's only Amsterdam and Bill who are left. And Bill uses the smoke from the cannon shots to kind of rush Amsterdam like a fucking ghost.
Yeah, like a goddamn maniac. Yeah.
Cuts him in the leg a couple times. And then Bill and Amsterdam get knocked by another cannonball. Bill pulls a piece of shrapnel from his midsection and says his final words, "Thank God I die a true American." Ugh. And Amsterdam's like, "Fuck you," stabs him in the chest. Gets Bill. Jenny finds him, and that night they mourn all the friends they lost in the draft riots, which have finally settled down. After 3 nights of just straight up riots, Tweed's upset because he lost so many votes. All those dead Irish. Bastard. And this was brilliant. Bill is he's buried next to Priest in a Brooklyn cemetery that looks out on the Manhattan skyline. Amsterdam is there with Jenny. He buries his father's straight razor on top of the grave. And he remarks in a voiceover that a city like New York will continue to grow, and that he and his friends and enemies might never be remembered. And synced to U2's The Hands That Built America, you see that the skyline of New York City grow over the centuries as the graves disintegrate. And they really are forgotten. And this was filmed right before 9/11, so the Twin Towers are prominent. And when this came out, this was a movie that was celebrating the culture and history of New York. So I'm very glad they didn't cut that out.
Yeah, no, because it is a very powerful, it's almost enlightening the way that narration that's done. It's a really nice touch at the end of the movie to remind you that these stories need to be told because we will forget.
Yeah, straight up. I give Gangs of New York a solid 9. It's an incredible film, led by a terrifying Daniel Day-Lewis performance. Tells an engaging story that's never boring. I love it to death.
Yeah, same. It's close to a 10, man. I think it's maybe a couple different performances away from being like a damn near perfect movie.
Hell yeah, man. So that's all for this week, listeners. Hope you enjoyed the Scorsese double feature. Next week, we're getting creepy and topical with 28 Days Later. Until then,
yes.
Remember that every American has the blood of an immigrant, so don't be a racist dick. Maybe if we were all a bit more decent to one another, shit like the draft riots and the 5-point gang wars would never have happened. If I've said it once, I've said it 100 times. Life is quick. Don't be a dick.
Peace.